Hello Reborners, my name is Karen and this is Making Dolls with Karen. We're back with Jennie Awake. Sometimes I forget what doll we're doing. And we're ready to check all of her enhancements now. And if we like the way they look, we're going to start on her layers. I'm a little dissatisfied with the color of her skin. Her blush just doesn't look blushy enough to me. So I'm going to redo some of her blush. It's an extra step, I know, but it's going to be worth it, I think. Oops. Watch out how you drop your brushes right on top of your doll and everything. You might actually put some paint where you don't want it. Anyway, she's not getting reddy red. She's getting kind of pinky red. And I'm not fond of that color. Yeah, this paint is just not holding in the brush good because we're not getting the depth of color that I'm expecting to get from her. Sometimes blushing the doll is one of the hardest things you do. Other times it seems really, really easy. A lot of times it has to do with the kind of vinyl they have. Believe it or not, vinyls can be different. Some of them hold paint better than others. I don't know why. They just do. But it makes for harder painting when you have a doll that doesn't hold paint well. Now she's sealed, so she should hold paint just fine, but here we are, putting blush on again. I know in the last segment I said, we want to minimize our bags, but we don't want to forfeit good color on our dolls because we minimized our bags. We don't want to do that. We want to have enough color on her that when we get finished putting the layers on her, she still looks good. If all of her blush fades away, there was just no need to put any on her. I know I sometimes say, even though you can't see it, it does something. Well, it does. It'll still do something, but it's not enough to me. I want her to look a little more blushy than she does. And hopefully this will do it. I don't know. I'm going to set her head down for a minute and let it have a chance to dry for a few minutes while I work on her hands and feet again. Oh, this is how she looks now. She's a little wet. You can see the shininess on her cheeks right there. As long as it looks shiny like that, it's wet. See, now, you can't even really see the blue, and you can't see the pink. Hardly at all. It's so vague that it's almost non-existent, really. Okay, that should pump up the blue a little bit. You don't want to go too dark on your blue, but at the same time, you do want it to show. If it's going to completely disappear after your layers are put on, once again, no need to put it on. So I'm going to repaint the bottom of her feet pink again. This time it'll be, because the other paint is now permanent on her foot, it's baked on, so this one will take hold a little better. Just a little, though. This will in no way be dark or anything. But it should come out darker this time. Her toes are repainted. Sometimes this is just necessary. I had a little bit of a feeling on the last segment that it wasn't going to be dark enough. Just a little bit of a feeling. And I thought, well, I'll give it a chance, And then it didn't come out dark enough, so we're doing it again. You just get used to looking at the color that it looks and going, that's never going to be dark enough. Or, yeah, that's about right, I'm just going to dab them slightly, get some of the wet off. Yeah, that one's a little bit darker too, see? Now on her fingers, once again, you barely, barely, barely can tell there's any color at all on her fingers. Ugh. I know what that is. It's my money update. Chime sends me an alert every day to tell me how much money I have in the bank. And I have a pretty good idea already what I have, so I just sort of ignore it. And the dog's gonna bark. Next door neighbor has 2 little kids. And when I say little, I mean 3 and 4. And, well, they're really, yeah, they're really 3 and 4. The little boy's about to have his birthday and be 3. The little girl just had her birthday and turned 4. So they're just little. And she's got a camera out on her porch where she can see what happens. And which is nice because she can watch her kids without having to come outside. And she's always sitting there, and I can hear her on the camera sometimes going, "Get away from those stairs." You know, we live upstairs, and a 3 and a 4-year-old playing right around the stairs, not a good idea to me anyway. They're gonna get too close to them stairs on those riding toys and just fall. I've told them many times, get back from the stairs. You're gonna fall down the stairs, and it's gonna hurt. Kids need to understand what's going to happen if they do what you're telling them not to do, you know. I used to tell my kids, I'd throw something down the stairs and let them see it banging and bumping all the way down the stairs and tell them, you know, that can happen to you. And we don't want that. And it brings it on home, you know. Just like you tell your kids, if you get in the street, you're going to get squashed by a car. And they don't really get it until they see that dead animal in the street and it's squashed by a car. It's like, oh my goodness, that's what squashed means, you know. Not that you should put a lot of fear in your kids. I'm not saying that, but some things can actually take their life. And I just worry about those kids falling down the stairs all the time. We're on the 2nd story, and the stairs, they're hard and cement and metal, and not that it'd be better if they were wood, but I mean, it just seems so extra treacherous, and they get on those riding toys and whiz across the porch and bang into things, including the railing. And you know, you can look over the porch and it's like a balcony down there, you know, and they just crash into that railing, which is just screwed up. I don't know, I'd be gonna whip the daylights out of my kids if they were doing that. I'm sorry, but that can take their life, and I don't fool around with my kids' lives. Okay, we're gonna come back to her face now. I'm gonna dab it a little bit, try to get some of this wet off. Really very little comes off when you dab it, but it does sort of take some moisture off. And I'm gonna put just a little bit more because I wanna make sure she has rosy looking cheeks when we're finished. Usually they don't. They'll come out like, well, I was hoping I had a finished head here I could pull down, but I put all the dolls together. I forgot. And we're going with that. That's very dark now. And if it gets much darker, it's going to look fake and ridiculous. So we're going to go with that color. I'm going to dab it just a little bit more. It looks very shiny. Okay. Usually the shiny goes away with a bake. I've had a couple of times it didn't. Sorry, but I just have to have water almost constantly because my medicine makes me so dry. Now I'm going to redo her nails and her lips because, well, they need it. And this is the second. See, you can tell her lips are pink, but we want to darken them. They're too fake looking. I've been noticing, never noticed this before in all the years I did dolls. Never, ever, ever. The dolls came, they weren't clean. You have to wash them, but they weren't like they've been being. I noticed the other day, well, it's been probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. Uh, the doll that I was taking out of the bag had a bunch of little stuff that looked like burnt pieces of vinyl in the bag with it. Like maybe they left it under some heat or something to harden, and it burned part of the vinyl. It was a part that they would probably cut off, but it was still there. And I said something. I sent some sort of a message to Bountiful Baby. I want to know what in the heck is this in the bag with my doll. And she said, it's just part of the molding process. It's just nothing. Just throw it away. And so I'm going, okay, now they don't remove that? I mean, are they getting that sloppy? I don't know. I've noticed a drop in the quality of some of the dolls. But once again, I'm going to reiterate what I said before. These aren't dolls they're currently making. The dolls that I'm finding the quality isn't quite up to par are dolls that probably were bought right before they were discontinued. And like Candy, they've done a rerun of some of their artist kits and Candy's in it, but the Candy I have is not part of that rerun. She was made a long time ago. And I know that because, well, for one thing, the seller said so. And for another thing, her bag was just so old, it was crumbling almost. So that whoever had her for a long time. So she was made back when they were doing the first runs on them. You know, that wasn't the rerun. And I'm also going to put some in her nose again. And so you can tell that the vinyl was inferior. And they had these factories over in China. They were using 3 factories. One was the original doll factory, the first one that was ever built, and it had great employees and great work, and the molding process was really good. And according to Bountiful Baby, they didn't steal any of the molds and make knockoff dolls or anything. But then, well, they started making more dolls, and the factory couldn't handle it, so they started using a second factory and a third factory, and these factories were not up to par, evidently. Oh, I didn't do the nails. And anyway, this is her second lip coat. And so these factories were making thinner vinyl. They were not using probably the amount of vinyl they were supposed to use to make the kits, because they were going to steal some. They needed to have it covered by some vinyl that nobody was going to be looking for because it should have been in the dolls that they were making. And the quality of the dolls was suffering because of it. People were complaining, what's wrong with this kit? What's happening to this kit? Why is this baby melting? Why did it bubble? You know, all kinds of questions like that they shouldn't really have to be trying to answer for their customers, because they should have done them right in the first place. Those nails look as good as them other ones after they're painted, and they're not even painted yet. I didn't even paint these yet, and they look as good as those. I'm not painting them. See, it's one of those. See, these nails look almost identical to these nails. These have had 2 coats. This has had 1 coat. So, yeah, that's what I was talking about when I said you may not always have to paint every single nail. Sometimes they just come out darker than other times. So you want to catch up the other nails with those nails and make them look as good. And then if they don't look as good when you get them back out of the oven, you just repaint them again. We'll be putting colors on top of our nail color. I know some people don't do that, but I do. When I first started making dolls, which I was 99% self-taught, I was taught you put everything all over the whole doll. And so that's what I do. Right over the lips, right over everything. We just put all the colors on the doll. And the lips usually hold, and if they don't, I just put another little coat on them. It's too hard to try to keep your skin colors off of the nails. Some people don't paint the nails to the very last, and I used to do that. But I'd have to have extra bakes just for the nails and the lips, just for that, and nothing else. And so I decided, I want the lips and nails painted. I don't want to do extra steps for it. I'm just going to incorporate it into each different step I do. If I have to redo them every time, well, okay, well, that's what I'm going to do, because I don't want to do those extra bakes at the end. Baking takes a lot of time and the cooling. And if you're one of those people who dry let their kits dry first, that's even more time. I personally don't do that. They're pretty dry by the time I get to the oven anyway. So I don't put mine on. I don't even put them on the drying rack 90% of the time. You see that just by, me not putting them on the drying rack. I also don't think that her creases are just gone. I can't even see a crease hardly. One here and there. I got to get some more paint thinner. This drop is not enough. And it's so brown color. I just pour it in the garbage. Usually there's not that much of it, and there's usually paper towels in my garbage from where I had to wipe my hands and stuff and wipe different other things and change the table and all that. So it soaks it right up, and then you take it out to the garbage can and it's gone. I love these little cups. They come from Walmart. They're Anchor Hocking little measuring cups. They'll measure teaspoons, milliliters, all kinds of things, ounces. It's great. It has different measurements all around it. And if you need to measure something, which I usually don't have to measure anything, but if you do, you can use it for that, or it makes a great little cup for your paint thinner. I just put a tiny bit in there, literally a tiny bit, because it's a waste if you put any more. You're just wasting it. And here's a tip. If you use this today and clean your brushes with it, tomorrow you can make paint with it. And unless you're making yellow and the water's very, very red, it doesn't matter. You can put it in your brown, you can put it in your red, you can put it in your purple. It doesn't change the color of your paint. There's not enough in it, unless you're just constantly dipping your brushes in it. Okay, I'm going to do some more creasing on her because I am not satisfied with her crease level. That's the wrong color. I don't know what made me pick that up. I know it's the wrong color. This is the right one. It's one of those, I see it, but I picked up the actual wrong one. Okay, it's henna. That's the color I like. I just bought a bunch of colors. I went to Jerry's Artorama, just typed it in. I don't know how. I think I just initially typed in Prismacolor pencils to see where, and Jerry's Artorama came up. I looked at a couple of other sites, but they were just too expensive. And Jerry's Artorama sells at like wholesale prices or something. And where Bountiful Baby's going to sell you a pencil for like $2.69 or something, they're going to sell you one for $1.35. It's well worth it. And I just ordered a bunch of colors of purple, a bunch of colors of red, a bunch of colors of blue, because I wanted to hone in on the color that I wanted. And if you order 12 or more pencils, and they don't have to be the same color, like you don't have to get a dozen blue ones or something like that. You just get 12 pencils all together. They're $1.25. And so I wanted to be able to pick the colors, pick and choose. They also have the same colors that Bountiful Baby has for hair, if you pencil your hair or your eyebrows. And so I ordered a lot. And I also ordered these pencils. I thought I'd use them more than I do. I do use them sometimes. They're called blending pencils, and they're just colorless. And what they do is just pick up the color. You can tell the tip's slightly red, and spread it a little further. So if you're making too dark of creases or something, that will help you. And I just go very, very light with my pencil. Then I don't have to try to spread it so much. I do brush them to feather them out a little bit. But as far as having to, oh, that's way, way too dark, I need to diminish it, I don't do that because I'm very, very light-handed. That's why sometimes I have to redo my creases like I'm doing now. Uh, I like the creased look, but not heavy. I don't like heavy creases. This was supposed to be her, oops, I didn't check the bottom. Yep, the bottom of the feet needs a little more. Just like paint now, you can build the pencil up. It's ultra important that if you're going to seal your dolls after you paint, that the pencil has been baked. It will come off when you're sealing. I used to seal my doll's head right at the end so I could put the pencil on. You cannot write pencil on a slick head. Yeah, you'll make a mark. I'm not saying you can't make a mark, but you can't make good penciled hair. It looks skippy. There's little skip marks in it, and hair doesn't have skip marks. But I used to pencil on the hair, all my dolls. It was my preferred way to put on hair, and so I'd have to seal the head so that I could do that. And so I only sealed the head, though. I didn't seal the arms and legs back then. I didn't start sealing all of my dolls until I found out that a lot of times there'll be spots on your doll that won't take the paint, and you'll have to stop and seal anyway. So I just started sealing my whole doll at the beginning. But before that, I only sealed the head because I was going to put hair on it. And so I would seal, bake, put the hair on, seal, bake. And that was very time consuming. But if you don't bake the hair before you put the sealer on, the sealer will be turning brown or whatever color you put on the doll for hair. And on your sponge will just turn real dark colored. That sponge has had it. I'm gonna need a new one when I seal dolls again. I don't throw my sponges away. I use them over and over and over again, as long as they still work good. When I see that they're not to the quality that I expect for them to be to work good, I throw them out. Okay, she's re-creased. Her nails are redone. Her lips are redone. Her blush is redone. She's once again ready for another bake. And this time, we're going to do layers. I mean, when she comes back out, we're going to do layers. We're not going to do layers right now. It would void or negate everything we just did with blush. She's going to have another bake. And yesterday when I got her out of the oven, her vinyl was right here, right in this spot right here, was really soft. See, it's real hard here. I can't even press it in. And over here, over on this side, it's a little softer. This is stuff you have to watch out for. I just picked her up, and it felt squishy, and I go, oh no, that feels too thin. I put some extra stuffing in her head, because it's my theory that when they do have these squishy spots, these are the spots where fissures can form. That's my theory. And if there's a rag inside, I put rags inside the head, not polyfill rags. They're just torn up sheets. Anyway, something pressing to hold the vinyl from sinking in to begin with, the fissure doesn't ever open up. That's my theory. So that's why I stuff the head. It keeps it nice and round. It keeps it from sinking in. And it makes working on it a lot easier, especially if you're kabukiing. You ever try to kabuki an empty head? It just crushes and crushes and crushes. And we don't want that. But anyway, she looks pretty good to me. So we're going to get her right back in for another bake. I'm going to ask you to please like, subscribe, and share. And happy reborning.